From the outside, Chris and Shanann Watts appeared to have it all. Living in a beautiful suburban home in Frederick, Colorado, they were the quintessential family. Shanann, a vibrant and driven mother. Chris, a quiet, supportive husband. And their two adorable daughters, Bella and Celeste. Shanann's pregnancy with their third child, a boy she planned to name Nico, seemed to mark a new chapter in their lives. But beneath the surface, a storm was brewing, one that would shatter their seemingly perfect life in the most unimaginable way. August 13th, 2018, began like any other day for the Watts family, or so it seemed. Shanann had just returned from a late-night business trip, exhausted but excited to see her family. She'd texted her husband, sharing her usual affection despite recent tensions. But that morning, when Shanann's best friend, Nicole Atkinson, couldn't reach her, unease crept in. Shanann never missed appointments, especially not a doctor's visit for her pregnancy. Nicole drove to the Watts house, but something felt off. The door was locked. Shanann's car was in the garage. Her purse and phone were inside, but there was no sign of her or the girls. Frantic, Nicole called the police. As officers arrived, they were met by Chris Watts. Calm, composed, and oddly detached, he explained that Shanann might have taken the kids to visit someone. Yet, as police entered the home, the unsettling details began to pile up. Inside the Watts home, there were no signs of a struggle, but there were troubling inconsistencies. Shanann's phone and purse were left behind, a detail that didn't align with the idea of her leaving willingly. The bedsheets were missing from the master bedroom, and security cameras showed Chris backing his truck into the garage early that morning, loading something inside. Despite his cool demeanor, Chris's story didn't add up. His calmness bordered on eerie, especially when he addressed the media, pleading for his family's return. "I just want them back," he said, his voice devoid of the anguish you'd expect from a grieving husband and father. As days turned into hours, the investigation intensified. Detectives zeroed in on Chris, and his behavior became increasingly suspicious. A polygraph test revealed what investigators already suspected: Chris was hiding something. Faced with mounting evidence, Chris eventually confessed, but his story was a horrifying mix of lies and deflection. He claimed that Shanann had harmed their daughters in a fit of rage after he told her he wanted a separation, and in turn, he killed her in retaliation. But the truth, as investigators soon uncovered, was far more sinister. Chris had meticulously planned his family's murders. Early that morning, as Shanann slept, he strangled her, ending both her life and the life of their unborn child. Bella and Celeste, likely woken by the commotion, became his next victims. Reports suggest that Chris loaded Shanann's lifeless body into his truck, along with his two daughters, still alive. The thought of those innocent girls sitting in the truck, unaware of the fate that awaited them, is almost too much to bear. Chris drove them to a remote oil field where he worked. There, he smothered Celeste first, discarding her small body into an oil tank. Bella, his eldest, witnessed her sister's murder. "Daddy, no!" she reportedly begged, before she too was killed. Her final moments were marked by unimaginable fear and heartbreak. The discovery of Shanann's body in a shallow grave and the girls' remains in oil tanks shattered the community. Autopsies revealed that Shanann had been strangled, while Bella and Celeste were smothered. Bella's injuries indicated she had fought back, biting her tongue in desperation. The horror of the crime left the Watts family, their friends, and the entire nation grappling with one question: how could a father commit such atrocities against his own family? As investigators dug deeper, they uncovered Chris's motive. He had been having an affair with a co-worker and wanted a fresh start, free from the responsibilities of a wife, children, and another baby on the way. Chris saw murder as the only way out, a chilling testament to his selfishness and complete lack of empathy. In November 2018, Chris pleaded guilty to all charges to avoid the death penalty. The court sentenced him to 5 life terms without the possibility of parole. Shanann's family, devastated by the loss, delivered emotional victim impact statements. Her father, Frank Zuchek, stood in court and addressed Chris directly, saying, "You carried them out like trash. You disgraced our family." The Watts family tragedy left an indelible mark on everyone who heard their story. It became a cautionary tale of the dangers lurking behind the facade of perfection. Shanann's vibrant personality, Bella's sweetness, and Celeste's boundless energy were stolen by someone they trusted most. Documentaries and media coverage dissected Chris's psyche, but no explanation could justify his monstrous actions. The Watts home, once filled with love and laughter, now stands as a silent reminder of the betrayal and violence that ended an innocent family's lives. The story of Chris and Shanann Watts is more than a tale of domestic violence. It is a chilling reminder that evil often wears a familiar face. It's a tragedy that resonates with anyone who has loved deeply, trusted fully, and been blindsided by betrayal. Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and Nico's lives were cut short, but their memory endures. They are remembered not for the horrific way their lives ended, but for the love and light they brought into the world. And while Chris Watts spends the rest of his days behind bars, the haunting question remains, how could someone destroy the very people they once called family?